Last month, a viewer named Shirley from Saskatoon left a comment on my CPP video that stopped me completely. She wrote, "I walked into my TD branch last Wednesday to do something I have done every single month for 14 years. The teller told me my account had been flagged and I could not complete my transaction until I spoke with a manager. I am 74 years old. I have banked at that branch since 1991. I have never missed a payment. I have never had a fraud issue. Nobody warned me anything had changed. I sat in that branch for 2 hours and left without doing what I came in to do." That comment received over 500 replies within 48 hours. Seniors from British Columbia, Alberta, Ontario, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Manitoba, all describing almost identical experiences. Different banks, different provinces, different transactions, same outcome. Something has changed in how Canadian banks are handling accounts belonging to seniors. And it is happening right now in 2026 across this country without a single clear public explanation from the banking system about what triggered it, who it affects, and most importantly, what it means for your CPP, your OAS, and your GIS deposits every single month. Shirley is not confused. Shirley is not making a mistake. Shirley is experiencing something that is quietly happening to Canadian seniors at banks from Vancouver Island to Cape Breton, and almost nobody is talking about it clearly. Today, I'm going to change that. Nobody warned Shirley, not her bank, not Service Canada, nobody. And Shirley is not alone. Before I show you exactly what Canadian banks are now restricting for seniors, why it is happening, how it connects directly to your CPP and OAS deposits, and what you need to do this week to protect your access to your own money, one thing. These banking changes are already in effect, and Service Canada will not send you a letter explaining how bank restrictions could interrupt your CPP, OAS, or GIS deposit. Subscribe and turn on the bell right now. Now let me show you exactly what is happening. Tell me in the comments right now, has your bank ever asked you for additional verification or restricted a transaction in a way that surprised you in the last 12 months? Yes or no? Drop your province below. Because what this community shares shapes exactly what we cover next. Here is what most Canadian seniors do not know about their bank accounts right now in 2026. This is not just a banking story. That is the first thing I need to make absolutely clear. When Canadian banks restrict account activity for seniors, the consequences reach far beyond the bank itself and land directly on your CPP deposit, your OAS payment, and your GIS amount in ways that most coverage never connects. And the average Canadian senior affected by these changes has held their bank account for over 20 years. They have never bounced a payment. They have never had a fraud issue. And they are still being flagged under the new protocols because the triggers are not based on your personal history. They are based on your age, your account activity patterns, and the type of transactions you regularly conduct. According to the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, Canadian banks operate under federal oversight and are required to follow updated anti-money laundering guidelines, elder financial abuse prevention protocols, and enhanced customer verification standards that have been progressively tightened over the past several years. What changed in 2026 is that several of these protocols moved from voluntary implementation to mandatory compliance requirements, meaning banks that were previously applying these standards inconsistently are now required to apply them uniformly across all eligible account holders. The result is that seniors are walking into branches they have used for decades and encountering restrictions, verification requirements, and account flags they have never seen before and were never warned about. Let me walk you through exactly what is changing, why it is happening, and how each change connects to your monthly government deposits. Because Shirley deserved to know before she walked into that branch, and so do you. The first restriction that Canadian seniors are now encountering involves cash withdrawals and the new enhanced verification requirements that banks must apply when a senior requests to withdraw a significant amount of cash in a single transaction. Under updated FinTrack guidelines, that is the Financial Transactions and Reports Analysis Centre of Canada, financial institutions are now required to apply additional scrutiny to cash transactions that meet specific thresholds. And those thresholds are being applied with considerably more consistency in 2026 than they were even 12 months ago. What this means in practical terms is that a senior who has been withdrawing the same amount of cash every month for years may now be asked to explain the purpose of the withdrawal, provide additional identification beyond what they have always used, or in some cases wait for a manager review before the transaction is completed. The specific threshold that triggers enhanced review varies by institution and is not publicly posted, but the practical impact is clear. Seniors across Canada are encountering delays and additional requirements for cash transactions that were completely routine 12 months ago. Who is most affected by this restriction includes seniors who primarily use cash for their regular expenses, those who make regular large withdrawals to help family members, and those who have recently increased their withdrawal amounts compared to their historical patterns. If you are in any of those categories, you are more likely to encounter this restriction at your branch. And knowing it exists before you walk in is the difference between Shirley's 2-hour wait and a 5-minute conversation with the right person. Stop for a moment. Because what I am about to tell you about the second restriction is the part that is causing the most alarm across Canada right now. And it is the one that most seniors are encountering without any warning or explanation from their bank. The second restriction involves account monitoring flags that can temporarily limit a senior's ability to conduct certain transactions without going through an additional verification process. Canadian banks are now required under updated elder financial abuse prevention guidelines from the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada to implement proactive monitoring systems that flag account activity patterns that may indicate a senior is being financially exploited or coerced. These systems use automated algorithms that look for specific patterns, including sudden changes in transaction behavior, large transfers to new recipients, multiple transactions in a short period, and account access from new devices or locations. The intention behind these systems is genuinely protective. Elder financial abuse is a serious and growing problem in Canada. But the way these monitoring systems are being implemented in 2026 means that completely legitimate account activity by seniors who are managing their own finances independently is being flagged at a rate that is causing real disruption to real people. A senior who decides to help a grandchild with a down payment, makes a large charitable donation, or simply changes their banking habits after a life event like losing a spouse can find their account flagged and certain transactions temporarily restricted while the bank conducts an internal review. The review process is not publicly explained in detail by any major Canadian bank. The timeline for resolution varies significantly by institution, and the senior whose account has been flagged is often given very little information about what triggered the flag or how long the review will take. This is exactly what happened to Shirley. Her account was not hacked. She was not being scammed. Her account activity had changed slightly from her historical pattern after she began helping her daughter with regular monthly transfers following a family health situation. The automated monitoring system flagged it without any human being at the bank reviewing her specific situation before the restriction was applied. Now here's the part most coverage completely misses, and this one involves your CPP, OAS, and GIS directly, not just your ability to make a withdrawal. Most seniors assume that a bank account restriction is a banking problem. What they do not realize is that a restriction on their primary account, the account where their government deposits arrive, can make those deposits temporarily inaccessible even after they have arrived. Your CPP, OAS, and GIS payments continue to be deposited into your account even when a restriction is in place. But if the restriction limits your ability to withdraw or transfer funds, the money is technically in your account and practically inaccessible during the review period. For seniors who depend on those monthly deposits for rent, groceries, medication, and utilities, even a restriction of 5 to 7 business days can create a genuine financial crisis. A missed rent payment, a bounced utility bill, an inability to purchase medication, none of that shows up anywhere in the bank's internal review report as a consequence of their flag. And the connection goes further than access. When Canadian banks flag account activity under the new protocols, certain patterns of flagged activity can be reported to FinTrack and potentially cross-referenced with CRA records. While a single flag for a legitimate transaction is unlikely to trigger any CRA consequence, a pattern of flagged activity combined with discrepancies in reported income can draw attention that most seniors never anticipated and never needed. The connection to your OAS becomes relevant because OAS is subject to a recovery tax, commonly called the clawback, when your income exceeds a specific threshold, and any CRA inquiry triggered by flagged banking activity could involve a review of your reported income, your GIS eligibility, and whether your OAS recovery tax has been calculated correctly. Shirley did not know about this connection. She thought the bank restriction was a banking problem. She did not realize that how it was resolved and documented could have implications that extended to her tax file. Most Canadian seniors never find out until something shows up on a CRA notice that they do not understand and cannot easily explain. Did you know that a bank account flag under the new Elder Financial Abuse Monitoring Protocols can create a paper trail that in certain circumstances connects to your CRA records and your OAS clawback calculation? Drop your answer below right now. I want to know how many people watching this had no idea these two things were connected. Now here is the insider knowledge moment that almost nobody else is explaining, and it could protect your access to your CPP, OAS, and GIS deposits right now. Most Canadian seniors have their government benefit payments set up to deposit into a single primary bank account and have never considered what happens if that account is restricted. There is a simple step that every senior receiving CPP, OAS, or GIS should take immediately. Log into your MyService Canada account and verify that your direct deposit information is current and accurate. And consider whether you have a backup account at a separate financial institution, even a basic no-fee account at a credit union or a different bank, where you could redirect your government deposits if your primary account were to be restricted without warning. Canadians who work with retirement financial planners already have this protection in place. Their advisors set up backup banking arrangements as a standard part of retirement income planning. Most Canadian seniors on CPP and OAS have never been told this is something they should consider. They find out it matters only when their primary account is restricted and their government deposit is sitting in an account they cannot access. Now Now, you know before that happens. Shirley eventually resolved her situation. She went back to her branch the following morning and asked immediately to speak with the branch manager, not a teller, not a customer service representative, the branch manager specifically. The manager was able to review her account history, confirm that her flagged transactions were legitimate family support transfers, and lift the restriction within 1 business day. But Shirley told me it took her 3 visits to the branch over 4 days before she understood that asking for the branch manager by name was the step that would actually resolve the situation. And she left that final visit without a written confirmation that her account flag had been cleared, which meant she had no documentation protecting her if the same issue came up again. If Shirley had known on her first visit to ask for the branch manager immediately and to request a written confirmation that the flag had been cleared and her account was fully operational, she would have resolved the situation in 1 visit and would have had a paper trail protecting her going forward. That is the entire point of this video. 3 steps you can complete this week. Step 1. Log into your MyService Canada account at canada.ca and verify that your direct deposit information for CPP, OAS, and GIS is current and accurate. Then consider opening a basic no-fee account at a second financial institution, a different bank, or a credit union, and register it as a backup direct deposit destination with Service Canada. This takes approximately 30 minutes, and it means that if your primary account is ever restricted, you have an immediate option to redirect your government deposits without waiting for the restriction to be lifted. The Service Canada phone number to update your direct deposit information by phone is 1-800-277-99914. Step 2. Contact your bank directly, either by visiting your branch or calling your bank's main customer service line, and ask 3 specific questions. What is your current process for account reviews and transaction restrictions for senior account holders? How would I be notified if a restriction were applied to my account? And what is the typical resolution timeline? Having this information before you ever need it means that if a restriction is ever applied to your account, you know exactly what to ask for and who to speak to from the first moment, not after 3 visits like Shirley. Step 3. If you have a family member who regularly helps you with your banking, whether that is a spouse, an adult child, or another trusted person, make sure that person's authorization to access your account is formally documented with your bank. The account monitoring systems that flag elder financial abuse are specifically sensitive to situations where a third party is regularly accessing or managing a senior's account. Family members who help seniors with banking need to understand how to document their authorization properly to avoid triggering a flag that was designed to protect against exactly the kind of legitimate help they are providing. Ask your bank specifically what documentation they require to formally authorize a trusted family member's account access under their current elder financial abuse prevention protocols. Before we close, one critical warning. Scammers are already using the confusion around these banking restriction changes to target Canadian seniors. They are calling and pretending to be from the bank, from Service Canada, or from the CRA, telling seniors their account has been flagged and that they need to verify their information or transfer their funds immediately to a safe account. This is a scam. Your real bank will never ask you to transfer funds to a new account to protect them from a restriction flag. The CRA will never demand immediate payment by phone or ask you to verify your banking information by clicking a link. If you receive any contact like this, hang up immediately. Call your bank directly using the number on the back of your bank card to verify whether any restriction is actually in place, and report the contact to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre at 1-888-4958-501. Shirley's story is not unusual. It is happening to Canadian seniors at banks across this country right now in 2026. The only difference between Shirley and a senior who resolves a bank restriction in 1 visit with full documentation is knowing before they walk in that the branch manager is the right person to ask for and that a written confirmation of the flag clearance is what they need to leave with. You now know. Share this video with one Canadian senior in your life who has a bank account. One share from you could protect that person's access to their CPP, OAS, and GIS deposits during a situation they never expected to face. Has your bank ever restricted a transaction or asked you for additional verification in a way that surprised you? Drop your province in the comments right now. I want to understand which regions and which banks are applying these new restrictions most aggressively and whether seniors in certain parts of Canada are getting better explanations from their banks than others are getting elsewhere. And if this video helped you, hit the like button right now. 1 second. It is the only way this reaches the next Canadian senior who is inside this situation without knowing it. I am Henry Jaden. Take care of yourself and take care of your money.